group will talk after the break.
All right, so welcome to the 26th AVL Prize ceremony. AVL Prize, which has been made possible throughout the years by sponsoring by Roche. Some of the representatives are here today. Welcome. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your continued support of this particular prize, very prestigious prize, which I will try to convince you of what that actually can mean for your career. Well, first and foremost, after reception of the prize winner is able to stimulate his or her own standing in research by financing some of his or her own research. There's a €6,000 award for the research, which can be spent on reagents, visits to conferences, work visits, or equipment. And as I mention every year, this is carefully checked by Henry, so you can rest assured that this money is well spent. And then after that, apart from that, there is also a €5 celebration award, which can be spent. So did I say 5? You might make it €5. Anyway, so which of course can be spent to celebrate the awardee, for the awardee with his or her colleagues, which of course we all are, right? Yeah. Anyway, to just point out what a reception of this prize can mean for your career, I, as always, have listed the previous recipients. Last year I could still manage to squeeze it on one slide, and I'm sure you couldn't read any of that, so this year I'll take a little bit more time to point out that we've been doing this award since 1988. You still can't read it? Oh, okay.
I was wondering where your name was.
Where my name was. I've never had the award. Yeah. So you can still have a career without me. You have to become director or some silly job. Anyway, so Mark van der Vijver won the award. Jacques Neefjes, Marcel van Herk. I mean, names that are all familiar to you. And so there is no surprise, right? These names are familiar to you because the awardees are excellent scientists. And you can also see what you can become in later in life when you've gotten the award. So you can do something useful with your life rather than becoming the director of the Netherlands Cancer Institute. Anyway, so more recently we've seen other awardees, and again, also these awardees, of course, they're somewhat earlier in their careers, but also these have gone on to establish themselves in science, in the clinic, or in other areas that you can see here. And that leaves me to announce this year's winner. This year's winner of AVL Prize 2013 is Baoxu Pang. On the slide what Baoxu says about himself and about his research interest, defining novel mechanisms for ancient drugs, if I can summarize it that way. This is particularly the accomplishment that Baoxu received the prize for. And it was particularly this story that was published in Nature Communication last year that drew the attention of the committee that awards the prize, and that was also, and so these prizes, once the committee decides a certain ranking, then the ranking is discussed in the research council of our institute, and then finally the ranking is proposed to our scientific advisory board, our national scientific advisory board, that then eventually decides who is the prize winner for that year's edition. And so what Baoxu did, and I'm sure he might want to tell you a little bit about that, is he showed that a drug which we've been using in the clinic for a very long time does something very unusual. And in fact, that this unusual action of this drug is in part responsible for its chemotherapeutic effects. Now, this particular finding of Baoxu was initially received with a lot of skepticism. In fact, even Piet Borst did not believe this. And he might still not believe it. So, Baoxu had to struggle. He had to struggle hard to convince people that this was actually happening. This very unusual effect that he was seeing after the addition of these drugs. And so, I'm not sure what came first. I think he first convinced Piet, and then he managed to convince the reviewers of his paper that this is true. It goes to show you, that sometimes it's a hard struggle to get your very unusual findings published, and also to convince the scientific community that what you're seeing is right. And I'm sure, and Whitney, the committee that awarded the prize, was convinced that this finding will set a mark in the field. Now, as I showed you, once you receive the prize, this means something for your career. And so I'd just like to point out that Charkneefjes, you noticed on the list, right, in 1999, and I think in 2000, or maybe a little bit earlier, Jacques became professor at Leiden University. So Baoxu, you might in future years develop also, in about 10 years you might in fact develop a phenotype. I'm not sure what you should be happier with, this particular prospect or the ABL prize, but having said that, this year, the prize, the awarding of the prize was also gone hand in hand with a little movie that was made of the award winner, again thanks to Roche, and we'll now play the movie. I haven't seen it.
My name is Baoxu Pang. I'm originally from China. Currently, I'm a postdoc working at the Division of Cell Biology 2, the Netherlands Cancer Institute, Antoni van Leeuwenhoekprijs. I won the ABL prize because we have defined the novel mechanism of a most commonly used anti-cancer drug called doxorubicin. It's well known that doxorubicin can target topoisomerase and induce DNA double-strand breaks. And people believe it's the major mechanism of action of these drugs. However, in the clinic and in the research, there are other anti-cancer drugs targeting topoisomerase and induce DNA double-strand breaks in a similar fashion, but they are not as efficient as doxorubicin, the reason of which is still puzzling. We found is that besides inducing DNA double-strand breaks, doxorubicin can also induce histone evasion from chromatin. As a result, on the one hand, DNA double-strand break repair is attenuated. On the other hand, the transcription regulation of the cells is also scrambled. And those two mechanisms combining together make doxorubicin a very efficient anti-cancer drug, but also has strong side effects like cardiotoxicity. So first of all, our research have defined a novel mechanism of action of an anti-cancer drug, and this mechanism has never been discovered before, and it may promise a new line of drug discovery. Secondly, our research may be used for personalized use of these anti-cancer drugs, because we realize that different anthracycline family members like doxorubicin, daunorubicin, they may sense different area in the genome, hence kill cancer selectively. Thirdly, it's well known that doxorubicin can induce cardiotoxicity, the reason of which is unknown. Our research suggests that doxorubicin induced persistent DNA damage and transcription change may be the reason why patients receive these drugs have cardiotoxicity. For the prize money, I think I will go for some conferences and to expand my knowledge not only in cancer biology but maybe other fields like personalized medicine or genetic sequencing, which I think eventually will also benefit my research. I have been always fascinated by biology, and the part of discovery, especially when you realize that you're the first one in the world to know and understand something, makes me so happy.
So the floor is yours. Yeah. So first, thanks George for providing this wonderful prize, and thanks Renee for giving me all these good instructions. And it's a great honor to receive this AVL prize. And well, I already feel a bit awkward when I'm looking at my own video, so I hope I don't make me more awkward. So first, I really would like to thank my supervisor, Jacques, who is not only a great mentor in science, but also in life, whose passion inspires me a lot, whose wisdom enlightens me, and whose support helped me going through all these difficulties in science and in life. And thanks, Jacques, for nominating me even after I made all those bad jokes about you during the study. All the own goals I made playing soccer with you, I think the latter of which may frustrate him more than I did the wrong experiments. And second, I really want to thank my colleagues and friends in our group and in the institute. So I can't list all of the names. Otherwise, people from C2 will be really mad at me. But like Leonard sitting over there, these are somewhere in the audience, and Wilbert, Yanni, Olive over there, Pete sitting over there. According to Jacques, I already mentioned already, I think convincing Pete about my research is my most important achievement. And last but not least, I really want to thank my family, especially my wife, Xiaohang, without whom I can't achieve anything here. I think they also deserve half of the prize at least. And so when I try to explain to my parents what I got or the meaning of the AVL prize, so it's really hard for me to try to explain to them. Finally, I thought, well, I told them I'm the model worker in the institute. I hope it's not too far from the meaning of AVL prize. And they were really laughing about it a lot. So, well, it was really long time ago when I was still an internship student sitting in the same audience. It was a kind of wild dream for me to kind of present that evening here, not along the AVL prize. I'm sure there are a lot of people doing great science in this audience. Just carry on, you can be the next one. Thank you for sharing this great moment with me. Thank you for that. So thanks to the Employee of the Year and a little toast in Japanese.